Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm brought by Sean KANAN, aka Mike Barnes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. We actually did an interview. I want to mention this real quickly. About almost 2 years ago now, about a
I
year and a half
remember.
ago, and I really appreciate you doing that because that was right when I started my channel. So I really appreciate you doing that.
You know what? I
And
appreciate what you do too. I mean, I really like helping to support all of you guys that are so
thank
supportive
you.
of the Karate Kid Cobra Kai universe. So back at you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very cool. Obviously, that was before you'd been announced for season 5 and everything about that. So now we're going to be talking about all that and Karate Kid Part 3. So I cannot wait. And real quickly, I'd like to mention that you released an audiobook of Way of the Cobra. I'll put the link in the description when it does
Yes.
release.
Yes, I'm really excited about that. Way of the
Mhm.
Cobra just came out in Italian and French, and the audiobook
Awesome.
is going to be available this week.
Awesome. Very excited for that. And I'll put the link in the description when it comes
Thank you.
out. And yeah, so the first question is, right when you started, from the very beginning, what were your first initial thoughts when you were contacted about season 5 and Mike Barnes coming back and all that?
Well, I was really excited.
Yeah.
My biggest concern was that I was filming The Bold and the Beautiful, which I'm still on. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was just a function of getting the schedules to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really excited.
That's
You
nice.
know, I had a Zoom meeting with John and with Josh, and they were kind enough to ask me what some of my ideas were, and I thought that
That's
was kind
awesome.
of interesting because I was like, you
That's
guys are the
awesome.
ones with the hit show. I'm just happy
Hey,
to be a part of it. And I think that John and Josh and Hayden did a tremendous job bringing Mike Barnes back.
yeah, I really do. It was awesome. Back to that. Were you surprised Mike Barnes was going to be a redeemed good character, or was that kind of what was that your thoughts when going into it?
I wasn't surprised. I honestly didn't know until I got the script
Mm-hmm.
really what it was going to look like. The one thing that I had said to the guys was I just really wanted to see the character have some evolution from being kind of a multi-dimensional bad guy all those years ago.
Yeah.
35 years later,
Mm-hmm.
people change, they grow, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even got worse, who knows, but
Mm-hmm.
certainly wouldn't stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
And to have had the opportunity to play both the redemptive part of the story, and then when we see the bad boy comes back,
Yeah.
and have had the chance to work with Yuji, because really there
Mm-hmm.
would be no way that Mike Barnes and Yuji,
Yeah.
Chosen, would ever cross paths. And it was
Mm-hmm.
great working with Billy. I've known Billy for. I knew Billy before I even did Karate Kid 3, and we've never worked
Oh
together.
wow.
Working with Ralph again, it was
Mm-hmm.
fantastic.
That's really cool. Were were you were you and Yuji were friends before Cobra Kai, right?
Yeah, I've known Yuji for a long time.
That's awesome. I mean, you and Yuji in those scenes were one of my favorites in season 5, especially that.
Who knew Yuji was so funny, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that there's a really fun dynamic that at the beginning, you see these two guys fighting, and then there's the resentment and the thing with the couch. But by the time the season finale finishes, you get the feeling that Barnes and Chosen have they've cobbled together some respect for each other,
For
and
sure.
and even like
Mm-hmm.
the seeds of a possible friendship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Cobra Kai is really good for that. I mean, they redeemed Johnny for sure. They and then all the, like, I'd say the teenage Karate Kid villains like Mike Barnes and Chosen. I love how they did it too, because they made Chosen a sarcastic, funny character,
Right.
which was the opposite of how he was, and Mike Barnes was redeemed, which you'd question, but that's awesome.
Thanks,
Yeah.
pal.
So I heard that in other interviews I've done about season 5 is it wasn't totally in order, so it filmed in order. So what was your very first scene? Was it really that entrance walkout scene of season 5, or what was that?
My first scene was when I was on the telephone talking to the client that Dan staked for being Terry Silver
with Ralph. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, that's a few scenes later. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome.
Right.
That's
because there's the scenes where he sees Mike Barnes coming out of his house and, so that's before chronologically when you watch the show, but that's not what we filmed first.
Yeah. That was a really cool entrance, by the way.
They gave me this awesome house and they gave me an awesome suit and car, and they did it in slow mo. So they have to do any acting. I get to, anybody who's going to look cool with that setup, right?
Yeah. Of course. What was your favorite scene to film of season 5?
Without a doubt, it was, once I pulled Daniel outside of the limo and then, meeting Chosen and meeting Johnny and then us all formulating this plan to go cut head off Snake.
Yeah, that was an awesome scene and very unexpected seeing him walk out of the limo. That was really awesome. So your last day on set was a night shoot, I believe, because of the video you posted. What were your thoughts after filming all of season 5? What were your expressions about it?
Sometimes you film something and you're not really sure how it's going to come out. You always hope for the best. You work hard. Usually that happens when you do an independent movie or something like that. But I knew that we had great stuff and that it was going to be something special. And, it was really exciting to have been reunited working with, Thomas Ian Griffith, who I hadn't seen in a very long time. And, I think my only regret was that I didn't get a chance to work with Marty Cove. But, there were cranes and lights, and I mean, it was kind of a big thing, and it was very exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. With you and Martin, you had a lot of scenes in Karate Kid, so I was disappointed that we didn't get some John Kreese and Mike Barnes, but hopefully later. So were there any how do I put this, funny or interesting behind the scene moments from filming?
Oh boy. I think it was less funny and it was just sort of this consistent, pervasive, general feeling of, wow, this is amazing and so blessed to be able to do this and come work with these great, talented people for a part that I did 35 years ago. You just don't think when you do something that long ago that you're going to have a chance to reprise it and I think even make it better. And it really was great working with Ralph and Billy and Yuji because all three of them are terrific people.
Yeah. That was really cool to see. So what was it like filming with John, Josh, and Hayden and all that?
They're really great guys. I mean, they have what's the #1 show in the world, and they are incredibly giving and collaborative, and were really gracious in letting me put forward a couple of ideas here and there. Really cool. Some of them were used, some of them weren't. Hayden directed the second episode I did, I believe. Did he direct the second one? I can't. No, he didn't direct the second one. Actually, he didn't direct it, but he was on set, and they were all on set at different times. But I got a chance to actually really work with them, and they're great. I mean, you always hope that when you're going to start a new job, that the people are going to be as wonderful as the expectation of the work is. And that was just absolutely the case. I mean, every moment of my being a part of that was a pleasure, and just really goes down as definitely one of the very, very top professional experiences I've ever had.
That's awesome. Were you surprised at all that season 5 was instantly #1 on Netflix by far, and people are calling it the best season? Because
I mean, I didn't even know that, actually. I didn't know that. But I just, all I can say is this. I knew when we were doing that we were doing the stuff outside of the limo and going into Terry's. I was like, wow, this is really something kind of special.
Yeah.
It just clicked. It just
Yeah.
gelled. And I just, felt very, very fortunate to be a part of it. But that's great that the fans like season 5 the best. But I mean, the best. I mean,
they're all
everyone in the show. I mean, all the kids are not kids, but I mean, compared to us old guys, they are. They're so fantastic, and there's so many great moments that all of them have put together. That it's great that a lot of times when you join a show kind of late in the game, meaning like the 5th season or something. Sometimes the shows become a little repetitive and derivative, and it's a complete testament to the talent of Hayden, Josh, and John that season 5 just fired on all pistons. It was every bit as exciting and climactic as the others, and didn't seem to miss a beat in my book.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think they've done a phenomenal job, and everybody a part of that has done a phenomenal job at keeping it from season 1 to season 5 as entertaining as possible. And there's a reason why it's the #1 show on Netflix 5 seasons later. And because I saw a statistic before filming this, Cobra Kai season 5 was in a week after it dropped was already the most watched a Cobra Kai show in the first week, and it was like by double.
I know that.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
It was by double. It was awesome. Wow. Yeah. What would you say from your viewers' viewing perspective? And I know it's hard to remember some of the episodes, but what was your favorite episode to watch?
I'm a little partial to episode 10 of season 5.
Yeah.
I really thought it was great. Not just the scenes I was in. I mean just it was just really, really good. But there's so many. I mean, the climactic, the fight at the school, and I mean with the kids, and just so much stuff in the beginning, seeing Daniel and Johnny's lives, how they evolved, and that they're still two guys just trying to figure it out, like all of us are, as we go through life. Hopefully you become a little more self-aware, and you learn a few things, but you never stop being a person just sort of trying to figure it all out. And I think it really humanized both of those characters, and you realize that in a weird way they're more alike than they are different. And I think that's ultimately what created the fabric for them to have this very, very unlikely, strange friendship.
So way before season 5 and everything, when Cobra Kai was announced, what were your first thoughts on it? We're like, oh no, they're
I was super excited. I was I was super excited.
Yeah.
And originally it was on YouTube Red, and it wasn't nearly the scope that it became once it became a part of Netflix. Once it went to Netflix, I was like, wow, this is, you got a show that's already amazing, but now you've got the machine that's going to really turn into a juggernaut, a worldwide phenomenon. It took a while for me to get on the show, but I finally got my shot to get in the game, and I'm just grateful that I'm got to be a part of it. I mean, a lot of people say, wow, aren't you disappointed you only did 2 episodes? And a lot of that had to do with the fact that I had to fly back, and I was working on Bold and Beautiful, and I say no. I'm a firm believer in being grateful, and I would much rather concentrate on the fact that I got to be a part of something so special than any kind of gripe about not being in enough of it. I've always been a quality rather than a quantity kind of guy. I try and make the very most with what I'm given as an actor. I was pretty happy.
That's awesome. What would you say was the biggest difference from playing Mike Barnes 34 years ago to now?
Well, I'm a much more seasoned, evolved actor. You know, when I did Karate Kid 3, I mean, I had just started acting class. You know, I was, you know, kind of a young kid full of piss and vinegar. And, you know, I guess I had some natural charisma, but I didn't really, you know, have any acting technique. And that's why when I came back for season 5, I was able to, you know, layer it and make the guy funny and make the guy, you know, I thought at least you feel for Mike Barnes when you think he might have lost his wife, or at the least she divorced him, and he lost his business, and, you know, different colors to the character. And, you know, that's something that I think I was able to do as a function of 3 things. The first being terrific writing from the guys. The second being terrific acting from, you know, the other actors. And the third, you know, me being a guy that's now done this for 40 years professionally.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Good for you. What would you say is your favorite like from Karate Kid to Cobra Kai? What was your favorite? What did you prefer making more, Karate Kid Part 3 or Cobra Kai? If you don't want to answer that, it's totally okay. Or Cobra Kai season.
Oh, that's a hard one. I mean, Cobra Kai was without a doubt more fun.
Yeah.
You know, when I was doing Karate Kid 3, you know, when you're in a film set, there's an entirely different language that's used. There was so much I didn't know that there was a lot of anxiety for me. You know, I did my best to control it. And, you know, I'd never been on a big set before. I'd only been on 1 or 2 professional sets. I, you know, it wasn't that I didn't have confidence, but I didn't know what I didn't know. You know, I also almost died while I was filming it. And, you know, I mean, there was that whole thing, but there was a good part of that too, that, you know, when that happened, you know, it forced me to dig deep and reveal a part of kind of what I didn't know I had inside, to ultimately, you know, do all my own karate stunts in the film. And so it was one of the greatest emotional growth experiences in my entire life. And as terrible as that experience was, I don't think I would trade it, because it really fundamentally changed me. And, you know, I'm a big proponent of, we attach stories to the events in our lives, and you can attach a negative story or you can attach a positive story. And I chose to attach a positive story to that. And it's had a profound effect on my life. You know, now showing up for Cobra Kai, you know, I know who I am as an actor. You know what I mean? So that anxiety wasn't there. It really was like, just go and collaborate and have fun and be a part of this great, wonderful carnival.
Yeah, that's really cool. Your initial fight scene with Yuji and you, what was that like? You know, because it was a humorous kind of comedy fight scene between.
That was really fun. It was a little bit longer when we rehearsed it, and it was a little tricky because I have a shoulder injury. I'm gonna have to have surgery sometime later this year, so I had to be careful what I could do. But I think we came up with some great stuff. You know, there was definitely humor in it. There was a little homage to kind of the Hong Kong films, you know, when Yuji and I do that look to each other, and you know how they do that. I gotta say, for a guy that's been selling furniture, Mike Barnes got a couple shots on Chosen.
He did.
You know, I mean, you know, he shook off the dust pretty quickly. And I like the whole fact that it was really one big mistaken identity thing. You know, and then the scene that bookended it with Chosen and the couch and everything.
That was so funny.
I love that, you know, that Hayden, Josh, and John do that they're really able to integrate the exciting and the tense with the humorous, and you know, the show keeps you off balance. You're you know, you're like on the edge of your seat, and then you're laughing, and then you're emotionally, it pulls at your heartstrings. And so that's why fundamentally and at the base of everything, I'm a fan of the show. I'm just a fan of the show that happens to be a part of it, but I'm a fan. I think it's terrific.
Yeah. Never in a million years would I thought seeing Chosen and Mike Barnes meet for the first time would be a comedic scene and have it work so well.
Right.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Colliding.
yeah, that was basically worlds colliding with Karate Kid 2 and Karate Kid 3.
Yeah.
So say hypothetically if Sony or Netflix or whatever approached you for a Mike Barnes spinoff, whatever that may be, would you be interested in doing it?
I'd absolutely be interested. Are you kidding me? I think it would be it'd be phenomenal. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. That'd be an amazing job. I thought of that, and that's one of my favorite spinoff ideas that I'd want to see. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
I think Chosen and Mike Barnes together is kind of like,
that'd be sweet.
I think there's a very interesting dynamic between the two of us.
And there could be very, very many storylines to go along with it.
Yeah, you never know. Listen, I'm along for the ride. Whatever they come up with, count me in.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So with my final question here, I just want to ask you, were you surprised at all with the recent announcement of season 6 being the final season of Cobra Kai? Were you surprised at all, or was this what you were thinking or told?
Well, I mean, I certainly didn't know that. Was I surprised? Not really, and I'll tell you why. I don't know Josh and Hayden and John well, but I've been able to glean a bit of who they are. And I think that rather than, milk the show until the wheels fall off, until it becomes just like really, I think going out on top is really the best thing you can do. I think that they have always had a pretty clear idea of the story they wanted to tell. And that means having an end game. So I don't know. I think it might be a really good decision. And I think it's probably going to wind up being one of the most watched television events in history.
For sure. And I don't want to throw any shows under the bus or anything, but there have been quite a bit of shows that have gone on way too long, especially like action shows like Cobra Kai that just drag them out. Yeah. But I think I think it's really cool that they decided to.
There's a saying in show business: always leave them wanting more.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I thank you so much for coming on. This means the world to me. And also, reminder: click the link in the description when it comes out. The Way of the Cobra audiobook. And thank you so much, Sean KANAN, for coming on.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. It was great seeing you again.
Great seeing you too. See you guys next time. Peace.